My first day at school, it was a bright, sunny morning in September. I woke up early because I could not sleep much the night before. I was thinking about my new school. It was my first day and I felt both excited and nervous. My alarm rang at 7 a.m., but I was already awake. I jumped out of bed and went to the bathroom. After brushing my teeth, I looked in the mirror and said, "Today will be a good day." I quickly got dressed. My uniform was blue and white. I liked it because it was new and clean. My mom had ironed it the night before. I packed my bag with my books, a pencil case, and my lunchbox. My lunchbox had my favorite sandwich, an apple, and a small chocolate bar. My mom made me breakfast and said, "Eat well. You need energy for your first day." I nodded and ate my toast with some orange juice. At 8:15 a.m., we left the house. My mom walked with me to school. The school was only 10 minutes away. On the way, I saw other kids walking with their parents. Some were laughing, and some looked as nervous as I felt. When we reached the school gate, I stopped for a moment. The building was big, and there were many students. My mom smiled and said, "Don't worry, Alex. Everyone is new here. Just be yourself." When the bell rang, a tall lady came out. She said, "Good morning, children. My name is Mrs. Parker. I am your teacher." Her voice was kind, and she had a warm smile. She asked us to line up. I stood behind a boy who looked friendly. We walked into the school together. The hallways were wide and the walls were painted with colorful drawings. I saw pictures of animals, planets, and smiling children. We entered the classroom and Mrs. Parker said, "Welcome to Class 1A. Please find a seat." I sat near the window. The boy from the line sat next to me. He looked at me and said, "Hi, I'm Ben. What's your name?" I smiled and replied, "I'm Alex." Ben had curly brown hair and big glasses. He seemed nice. We started talking, and I felt less nervous. Mrs. Parker gave us our new books and showed us the timetable. "Today we will have math, English, art, and science," she said. Our first lesson was math. We learned how to add and subtract small numbers. Mrs. Parker wrote some problems on the board and asked us to solve them. I raised my hand and answered one question. She said, "Good job, Alex." That made me feel proud. Next, we had English. We practiced reading a short story about a boy and his dog. Mrs. Parker asked us to read aloud. When it was my turn, I read slowly but clearly. "Well done," she said. After English, it was time for art. Mrs. Parker gave us paper and crayons. She asked us to draw our favorite animal. I drew a cat with big green eyes. Ben drew a funny-looking dog. We laughed at each other's drawings. Mrs. Parker hung our pictures on the wall. She said, "These are wonderful." At 12 p.m., it was lunchtime. I went to the cafeteria with Ben. I opened my lunchbox and ate my sandwich. Ben had pasta and some grapes. We shared our food. Ben gave me some grapes and I gave him half of my chocolate bar. We talked about our favorite games. I told him I liked football and he said he liked basketball. We decided to play together during the break. After lunch, we went to the playground. The playground was huge. There were swings, slides, and a big football field. Ben and I joined a group of kids playing football. At first, I was a little shy, but soon I started running and kicking the ball. I even scored one goal. Everyone cheered and I felt so happy. Ben said, "You're good at football." I laughed and said, "Thanks. You're good too." In the afternoon, we had science and music. In science, we learned about plants. Mrs. Parker showed us pictures of flowers, trees, and fruits. She asked, "What is your favorite plant?" I raised my hand and said, "I like roses." Ben said he likes sunflowers. Mrs. Parker smiled and said, "Great answers." In music class, we learned a simple song. The song was about the days of the week. We all sang together. Some kids were clapping and some were dancing. It was so much fun. At 3 p.m., the school day ended. The bell rang and Mrs. Parker said, "Goodbye, everyone. See you tomorrow." I packed my bag and walked outside. My mom was waiting for me near the gate. She asked, "How was your day, Alex?" I smiled and said, "It was amazing." I made a new friend, and I like my teacher. My mom hugged me and said, "I'm so proud of you." When I got home, I told my dad about my day. I showed him the picture I drew in art class. He said, "You are a great artist." I laughed and said, "Maybe." After dinner, I felt very tired. I went to bed early. As I closed my eyes, I thought about my first day. I was happy and excited for tomorrow. School was not scary anymore. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next story.